I had never considered myself extraordinary. In fact, I thrived on the mundane. Earth's gray streets, the hum of traffic, the smell of wet asphalt after rain. These were my constants. So when I stumbled across the advertisement for the Interstellar Talent Exchange program, my first thought was that it was some elaborate scam. An alien civilization seeking performers? For what, I didn't know. But something deep in me stirred, a reckless curiosity I couldn't ignore. The audition was scheduled in a nondescript building in downtown Chicago. Inside, the air shimmered as though the fluorescent lights above were too weak to illuminate reality itself. I wasn't alone. Dozens of hopefuls filled the room, each one brimming with nervous energy. Some were human like me, and others, well, they weren't. A being with translucent skin, multiple glimmering eyes, and limbs that seemed to flow like liquid approached me. Next, it said in a voice that resonated in my chest, bypassing my ears entirely. Somehow, I understood it perfectly. The audition was bizarrely simple. Perform anything that expresses your essence. I had no instruments, no voice trained to sing in alien registers, no special talent at all, really, except for the way I could observe people, the subtlety in my movements. I stepped forward anyway. My hands traced shapes in the air, my voice hummed notes I didn't even know I could reach, and to my surprise, the room responded. The walls pulsed gently, the floor vibrated, and the eyes of the alien judges glistened as though they were absorbing every nuance of me. I left that day exhausted, unsure whether I had impressed or embarrassed myself. The memory of the audition lingered like a strange perfume. That night, I returned home and tried to forget it. Then came the summons. It arrived on a device I hadn't known existed. It projected a holographic image of a palace, impossibly tall towers spiraling into the sky, floating gardens, rivers of light, and a single sentence scrolled across in shimmering text. The Queen requests your presence. Prepare for departure. I panicked. I wasn't ready. I didn't even understand the stakes. Who was this Queen? What did she want with me? And most importantly, why me? Yet, a few hours later, I found myself aboard a sleek spacecraft, hurtling through the void at speeds that made my stomach lurch. I stared out the viewport at the stars stretching into ribbons of color, feeling more like a speck of dust than ever before. The journey ended in a place that defied my understanding of architecture. The palace floated above a planet whose surface shimmered like liquid mercury. Bridges of crystalline light connected towers that bent and twisted in ways my brain struggled to process. And at the center, atop a throne carved from a single massive gem, sat her, the alien queen. She radiated authority in a way that was almost painful to behold. Her skin reflected the colors of the galaxy, shifting subtly with every heartbeat. Her eyes were vast pools of liquid light, and her presence demanded attention even before she spoke. "You are the one who performed yesterday," she said, her voice resonating directly in my mind. "You have potential, but you are not ready." I wanted to protest, to say I hadn't prepared, I hadn't trained, I wasn't qualified, but something in her gaze silenced me. It was not anger, nor disappointment, but curiosity, a profound, almost childlike curiosity that made me tremble. "Why me?" I managed to whisper. She leaned forward, and I felt the universe shift around me. "Because you are human, and humans are unpredictable. Beautifully so." That was when the training began. Not the training I expected, though. There were no manuals, no drills, no rehearsals in the way I understood them. Instead, she guided me through experiences, walking through memories not my own, feeling emotions that weren't mine, learning to manipulate energy like it was an extension of thought. Days stretched into weeks, though I had no way of measuring time. Each lesson left me drained, exhilarated, and increasingly aware of my own limitations. I failed repeatedly, often miserably. Yet, she never scolded, only observed with that same inscrutable curiosity, waiting for the moment I would understand. One evening, as I sat by a river of glowing liquid, watching the reflections of her palace dance on the surface, she joined me. "You fear," she said simply. "You fear what you might become." I just don't know if I belong here," I admitted. Her laughter was soft, like the tinkling of glass wind chimes. "Belonging is not given, human. It is earned, and it is discovered within yourself." I wanted to argue, to say I wasn't capable of earning anything in this world, but again, her presence silenced me. Somehow, I felt that the moment I accepted my fear, I would begin to understand my own potential. The test came sooner than I expected. The palace's central chamber, a vast expanse of floating platforms over a void that seemed to stretch into eternity, was illuminated by a star suspended in midair. The queen motioned toward it. "Show me your essence," she commanded. Panic surged through me. My essence? I had no idea how to do that. What I understood of myself seemed pitifully small compared to this vast universe. And yet, I remembered her words, "Belonging is discovered within yourself." I closed my eyes and let go. I stopped trying to perform, stopped trying to impress, stopped trying to be anything other than myself. I let my memories, my joys, my regrets flow outward. I let my body move as it willed, my voice sing as it could. I let the universe see me, entirely unfiltered. The response was instantaneous. The star above us flared, and the void around me filled with swirling colors and light. I could feel the energy of the palace, the planet below, even the ship that had brought me here, resonating with mine. I was terrified and exhilarated, and for the first time, I felt as though I were exactly where I was meant to be. When I opened my eyes, the queen was smiling. Not the distant, authoritative smile of a ruler, but a genuine, radiant smile that made my chest ache. "You are ready," she said. I stumbled, not physically, but emotionally. Ready? I didn't feel ready. How could anyone feel ready when standing before an alien civilization, when knowing that my actions could ripple across galaxies? And yet, she nodded, as though seeing my doubts and accepting them. "Your task," she continued, "is not merely to perform. You are now an emissary, a bridge between your species and mine. Your essence will shape the connection between Earth and the stars. And the first step is trust." Trust. It seemed so simple, so terrifying. To trust myself, to trust her, to trust a universe that I barely understood. I spent the next months traveling with her, learning the languages of stars, the songs of planets, the histories of civilizations that predated humanity by millennia. I faltered often. I made mistakes, angered beings I did not intend to, and nearly destroyed a minor planetary ecosystem with a poorly executed display of energy. Yet, each time, she was there, guiding, correcting, teaching without reprimand, her faith in me unshakable. And slowly, I began to see why she had summoned me. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but that was exactly the point. We were capable of improvisation, of innovation, of compassion that defied logic. In a universe ruled by calculation and protocol, perhaps unpredictability was the greatest gift of all. The final test came in the form of a crisis. A rogue faction of her own people, driven by fear of my influence, threatened to sever contact with Earth entirely. The palace trembled under the assault of energy weapons and psychic attacks. I felt every wave of destruction, every ripple of fear and anger, and I knew that my choices now would matter more than ever. I remembered the lessons, the guidance, the trust she had placed in me. I closed my eyes and focused, not on power, not on victory, but on connection. I reached out to the attackers, not with force, but with understanding, showing them visions of potential, of cooperation, of a universe where we could grow stronger together. The silence that followed was profound. Slowly, the assault ceased. Slowly, the rogue faction withdrew, not defeated, but convinced. And in that moment, I realized something extraordinary. I had become what she had seen in me from the beginning. I had become ready. The queen descended from her throne, her eyes meeting mine. "You have done more than I could have hoped," she said. Her voice held warmth, pride, and something I did not expect, affection. I still feel like I don't belong," I admitted, laughing nervously. "You belong wherever your essence is recognized," she replied. "And yours is recognized everywhere now." In the days that followed, I was celebrated, not as a human, not as an alien, but as something entirely new, a bridge, a symbol, a living testament to the possibilities of connection. I traveled between worlds, performed for civilizations that defied imagination, and learned that readiness is not a state of being, but a journey, one that begins the moment you trust yourself enough to take the first step. And every time I looked at her, the alien queen who had personally summoned me, who had seen something in me before I even saw it myself, I knew that I would never be unready again. I had entered the audition as a human filled with doubt. I left it as something greater, an emissary of possibility, carrying not only the hopes of my species, but the essence of myself into the stars. The universe was vast, chaotic, and unpredictable, and for the first time in my life, I felt perfectly, terrifyingly ready. The queen descended from her throne, her eyes locking onto mine. "You have done more than I could have hoped," she said, her voice warm, proud, almost tender. I still feel like I don't belong," I admitted, a nervous laugh escaping me. "You belong wherever your essence is recognized," she replied, her gaze steady and unwavering. "And yours is recognized everywhere now." In the quiet that followed, I realized something profound. I had been ready all along, though I hadn't believed it. The summons, the trials, the chaos, it had all been to awaken something within me I hadn't dared to trust, myself. From that day forward, I traveled between worlds, performing, learning, and connecting civilizations that once seemed impossible to reach. And every time I looked at the alien queen, the one who had seen potential in me before I did, I felt a quiet, unshakable certainty. I had walked into the audition as an uncertain human. I left it as something greater, an emissary, a bridge, a spark of possibility in the infinite darkness of space. And finally, for the first time, I understood the truth she had known all along. Readiness isn't a destination. It's the courage to step forward, even when you feel unprepared. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and terrifying, and for the first time in my life, I felt perfectly, fearlessly ready.